Stablecoin's about to go mainstream, and today we're going to be breaking down who could be leading the charge. Wyoming and many others could be coming into the stablecoin business for all of you guys. So you guys don't want to miss this. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Thank our sponsor today. That is iTrust Capital. If you're looking at long-term holding of your crypto assets and you want to do it in an IRA, which a lot of people are starting to do now and looking at long-term gains, this is one of the ways you can do it. Use our link down below. It's going to take you over to itrustcapital.com, and you can be one of like 250,000 people buying and selling crypto right there within your IRA. Check it out. Use our link and get a $100 funding reward if you decide to go that direction. All right, a couple of things going on, and we know what's happening in the space right now. I think obviously with the ETFs going, you've got tokenized treasuries continuing to climb, and I think when you look at the opportunity here for a stablecoin to be integrated into a state, Wyoming is in a very interesting position. Could be the charge that leads a lot of states into this kind of strategy. Even if you look at Open Eden, which is essentially what they're doing, this is where US Treasury yields are on chain. All of this is getting into what I think will be municipalities, government agencies, etc., starting to understand where the future of blockchain is going. Now, we did a video on this not too long ago. Wyoming Stablecoin launching on Cardano, Ethereum, Polygon. Which one would it be? If you guys want to go back and check that out, you'll get a chance. I've got a few clips for you lined up today, and it's basically the hearing. And it will start to get a framework around what they're doing, why they're doing, and how they're going to pull this off. So listen in. Let's go over to this first clip.
The commission is staffed by 7 commissioners. The initial 3 who were appointed to the commission were the governor, the state auditor, and the state treasurer. The 3 commissioners then appointed 4 more subject matter experts. Those again would include Flavia Naves, who is the former general counsel of Circle.
I'd like you to look up Circle committee on your machines in front of you.
Circle, again, is the largest, not to spoil anything, but they are the largest domestic stable token issuer with $25 billion under management and have raised over $1.1 billion in capital.
So this is kind of a real company, a real thing, huh?
This is certainly a real thing, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Sorry.
They're getting a little fun there. I like that. I like their attitude. Let's go on to the next clip. This is going to get into a little bit more around the budget that's going to be required to get a stablecoin off the ground. Listen in.
Again, we are asking for $5.8 million for the 2025-2026 biennium. And I put a very important part in bold here that the commission expects and intends to return all capital provided by the general fund using investment income generated by the underlying reserves of the stable token. And critically here, we've entered a request for information period to solicit to begin socializing with potential vendors what it is we're trying to build, which is again, the full front to back life cycle of a Wyoming stable token. The response to the RFI, I would characterize it as overwhelming. In the 30 days we had, which includes the Thanksgiving holiday, in which the RFI was live, I was in contact with over 210 people across 92 companies who are interested in contributing to this effort.
All right, so you can imagine this is going to be a huge income generator for states like this that are generating a potential stablecoin. It's what I was talking about earlier this week. Stablecoin will go down in history as probably the best killer app of all time. I mean, the revenue, if you look at Tether and what was able to be accomplished with a very small team, that's the point that we're getting to. So on this next clip, they go into the timeline and what they're up against. Listen in.
One other thing I wanted to highlight here is the need for expediency from our agency. There is great economic potential here in leveraging the high interest rate environment we currently find ourselves in. That being said, the Fed has already alluded to cutting rates several times across 2024, and that would have an impact on how much revenues we're able to generate. So again, being expeditious with this will be beneficial. Some of the math we've been using to do our projections here assumes a $100 million market capitalization of the stable token, a 4.5% interest rate on $100 million of stable tokens outstanding. That is $4.5 million. If you were to allocate every one of those dollars to repayment, you'd be almost there in a year.
How many employees do we have?
Director?
Madam Chairman, Senator Grew, you're looking at them.
If we approve the funds, what's your timeline for when the stable token can go online, be live?
Director?
Madam Chairman, Representative Stith, Our goal is to have the stable token online by the end of this calendar year. So by year end 2024.
All right, so they're expedient on how to maybe make this happen, but are they too late? That's really the next question. Here's what they had to say about that.
Madam Chairman, Director Apollo, how would you respond to, say, naysayers who would say, well, this is a nice effort, but we're too late because USDC, they already have a first mover advantage. And if we come out with our stable token, it just won't go anywhere because whoever gets there first wins. And
I think there's plenty of potential for us to be the first publicly issued stable token on the market. From a purely mathematical perspective, the fact that PayPal launched their stable token in August, I believe it was August 24th of last year, with about $40 million of market cap out the gate, it's now 300 million. There is room for new entrants into the market. Our hope is some of those legal benefits and value adds would be conferred to the end user in terms of things like privacy or custody.
would you also say that one of the advantages is that having a sovereign state, a Wyoming stable token, gives an added sense of confidence that the private sector just simply can't provide?
I would 100% agree with that comment.
Yeah, so I think there's a few things they hit on there is the fact that, yes, a state-issued stablecoin probably would have more provenance around potential investment, especially from people who may be looking at crypto for the first time. So it gets back into that scenario. And unless we see a stablecoin bill come in, which we most likely will, but this, I think, is going to cause a bit of a movement in the states. Could Wyoming be the one that leads us out going forward? Now, how are they going to pull it off? That's the question. They're going to go into the need for third parties. Listen to what they had to say.
Providing daily net asset values, et cetera, which is not what the Treasurer's office typically does. And if we were to take the time to initiate new policies, hire new staff, train new staff, et cetera, we might impede the progress of the stable token. And we do not wish to endanger the first public mover advantage that the stable token would have.
Does that impede your ability to meet your 2024 goal?
I do not believe that is a blocker at this time.
Thank you.
All right, so that's a good one. Let's go to this next clip because they're going to get into voting on this. Let's listen to what they had to say.
And Madam Chairman, I would move to appropriate of that agency $5.8 million as requested.
I see that as a motion to open up the agency 91. Does everyone understand the motion?
Give me a second here. I want to be supportive of this, but I also, it's kind of hard. Representative Larson, I'm having a hard time. A lot of things I don't understand about this, and I don't pretend to.
I'm going to vote against this, but I would support a smaller number.
One of the truly big use cases for this would be if the retailers, including the big box retailers and all our large retailers who currently pay a lot of money in credit card processing fees, if they were to convince their customers to use a stable token instead, suddenly instead of paying 2% on every transaction, they're now paying almost nothing per transaction. That's a huge potential for that.
The work that you're doing is this is pretty fun stuff, and it's certainly over my head, but I trust you.
Let's do a raise of hands. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands.
Madam Chairman, I got 7-5.
So that motion has passed.
All right, there you have it. Wyoming is going to be launching a stable coin. The real question is, how are they going to get it done? They talk about vendors and how quickly this could play out. Listen in.
The budget, and I put this in a bit of air quotes, passed with a 7-5 vote. The European Central Bank put out a series of 5 requests for proposals. They're offering $1.2 billion to build that. So I think our ask to the JEC of 5.8 million is pretty relative to that. There are potential vendor names on here, but this is the context which substantiates the $3.7-ish million ask for vendor services.
Not a lot, really, if you think about it. About $3.5 million to be able to pull this off. Question was, can they do it? If they do, they will have created a blueprint for a lot of states that I think will follow in the footsteps of Wyoming. So who is it going to be? Let's listen into what they had to say.
Chairman, a little on Tether. I noticed that we didn't really discuss that as a use case as far as some of the our token displacing some of the Tether token. I'm assuming that's still something that won't happen maybe in 24, 25, but probably after that. But I'm not sure where Tether comes into our use cases, I guess.
Tether's so the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, which manages Tether's reserve or a majority of Tether's reserves, has said as of this week at Davos that they have the money in reserves. However, they've still not passed an audit. And I think that's kind of a wait and see approach from our perspective. Also quickly noting for the other incumbents we're typically tracking. So Circle privately filed an S1 report. So they do intend to go public, although the details are not going to be known until that S1 becomes public as well.
All right, so I think you might get the picture here of what direction they're going to be going. So really, what is next when it comes to essentially the Wyoming stablecoin riding on Ethereum? Let's take a look. Listen in.
But we've now reached out to almost 250 people, including and up to, as I was walking into this discussion, with fairly large potential service providers that could be interested in what we're doing or are interested in what we're doing. We expect to open the RFPs on March 22nd. And I do believe at this point in time, we can consolidate a lot of functionality into a smaller number of RFPs. So digital wallets, issuing tokens, exchanges, those could potentially be bundled up. And we'll see how that all manifests. Again, that's all very much in flight. First thing on March 18th, with the expectation we're getting those live on March 22nd. The next meeting of the Stable Token Commission is expected to happen on February 15th. And again, that will be a little bit more robust with some of the documentation we've just talked about.
All right, so they're moving fast. I mean, February 15th, just around the corner here for their next meeting. And then in March, starting to deploy RFPs, request for proposals, and get those projects starting and going underway. They could pull this off. And if they're aggressive and if they get the right kind of vendors, you might even see an early entry into the market before the end of the year. Granted, we're going to see rate cuts. They mentioned that, talked a little bit about that. That would reduce the amount of, money that would be available to things such as this when you're starting to park cash into things like a stablecoin or in some similarities of what other projects are doing out there. So this is a big move for blockchain. I think it's also a big move, for the awareness factor of just everyday citizens starting to realize that the states are starting to work with crypto. That to me starts to create that, kind of that snowball effect of adoption. We're going to continue to cover the topic, try to get you as much information around this, because I imagine there'll be some states following up on this. So stay tuned right here for all that. If you're not in the Diamond Circle, jump in now. Great place to get additional content, or you can catch me out there on X at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.